Ciao a tutti, hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about something super interesting and that you will be able to use immediately, okay? So very important topic today. We're going to be learning how to make questions, and not only simple questions, but also we're going to be integrating 3 super easy and beginner friendly question words like come, chi, and dove. These question words will open up the world to you because you're going to finally be able to ask questions to other people. So you can introduce yourself, you can ask people's names, you can find out information in a much easier way. So I don't know if you have looked already at my video that talks about the basic Italian sentence structure, but in that video I told you a little bit about using intonation to create a question, okay? What does that mean? It means that if I have an affirmative sentence, I can turn that sentence into a question simply by how I use my voice. Look at this sentence. Mangi un gelato. This is an affirmative sentence. If I want to ask somebody, if he or she wants an ice cream, I can take that affirmative sentence, use intonation, and create a question. For example, mangi un gelato? Can you hear that my voice level changes and I'm using intonation to create a question? Listen to the 2 different sentences. Mangi un gelato. Mangi un gelato? So I'm using intonation to create a question. So you could say, okay, wonderful, Julia, I'm just going to use intonation my whole life and that's going to be it. All right, sure, go ahead, you can do that. But why not use those wonderful question words that will open up a world to you, okay? Let's first talk about the structure of the sentence if you're making a question, because something will need to be changed. I told you in my previous video that the basic Italian sentence structure is SVO. Subject, verb, object. Lui mangia una mela. Lui is the subject, mangia is the verb, una mela is the object. Okay? Now let's insert the question words inside the sentence. In this case, you need to put the question word at the beginning of the sentence. Then you will have the verb, and then you will have the rest of the sentence, including the subject. So remember, question word, then verb. Now let's look at some sentences and let's begin to use these question words together, okay? I'm sure that after this video, you're gonna go running around asking people things in Italian, and that's exactly what you have to do to practice Italian, okay? If you feel a little bit lost, download the PDF of this lesson so you can review all of the things that I'm saying right now. You can review them on paper. Sometimes, I am a little bit of a paper person, or you can review it on your screen and you can check and make sure that you understand everything I say, okay? So even if you don't feel like taking notes, you have the PDF with the notes ready for you. Just download it in the link below the video. Okay. Let's start with the first question word, the word come. Let's look at a sentence, or rather, let's look at a question. Come si chiama l'insegnante? So you have come, which is your question word. In this specific case, it translates to what? Si chiama is your verb. L'insegnante is your subject. Come si chiama l'insegnante? What's the teacher's name? I'm sure that you have already used this question because if you're a beginner, one of the first things that you learn in your beginner elementary lessons is the question, come ti chiami? What's your name? Come ti chiami? Io mi chiamo Giulia. So that little dialogue for sure you have heard about already. And that is one of the first questions that you can learn and use with come. So I told you that in this case, come translates to what? What's your name? Come ti chiami? But depending on the context, come can also mean how. If you're meeting a person, of course, you might ask them their name, but I'm sure that the second time around, you already know their name, you might ask them how they are. In this case, you will say, come stai? Come va? These two questions with the question word come will allow for you to say, hey, how are things going? So come stai is how are you physically? So are you happy? Are you sad? Are you sick? Are you healthy? If you're using come va, it's more generic. How's it going in general? What's up? Okay? So you can also use those. Come stai? Come va? Remember that you're going to translate come like how. So you can also have questions like come faccio a raggiungere la scuola? Come si prepara un piatto di pasta? Come hai fatto a dimagrire? Okay, so there are different contexts, and also make sure that you're translating it correctly. Okay, so come can mean how or what. Now let's look at the second question word that I want to talk to you about, which is chi. C-H-I. Remember, you're pronouncing it with a strong k sound, so it's chi. This literally translates to who. Look at this sentence. Chi è il ragazzo con la maglietta rossa? So you're asking, who is the boy with the red t-shirt? Chi will indicate to a person. Chi è? Who is he? Who is she? Your structure is the same. You have a question word, you have a verb, and then you have the rest of the sentence. Let's look at some sentences together. Chi ha fatto I compiti? Chi vuole un caffè? Chi è tua sorella? Chi è il più bello? And then if you're still into that introduction mode where you're meeting a person, you want to find out more information about that person, you absolutely need to know and use the question word dove. Dove means where. So think of a small dialogue like, ciao, mi chiamo Giulia. Come ti chiami? And you will answer, mi chiamo, with your name. And I could ask you, di dove sei? Where are you from? Di dove sei? In this case, I added a little preposition before because the structure needs it, but I want you to focus on dove. Where are you from? Di dove sei? If I want to make it a little bit easier, so I'm not going to use a sentence with that preposition beforehand, but I'm simply using dove as where, I can say, dove sono le chiavi? Where are the keys? Dove andiamo in vacanza? Where are we going to go for the holidays? Dove mangiamo stasera? Where are we going to eat tonight? Also, in this case, the sentence does not change. You have the question word, the verb, and the rest of the sentence, including the subject. Okay? So, a quick recap on that. You now know how to use come, chi, and dove. So, go ahead, make questions, ask your friends, ask your family member, use Italian today. Incorporate some questions in your daily routine so that you can remember these and make them yours. Obviously, I know that might sound funny, but it's a good way to start. Okay, if you don't have a conversation partner, I do offer some conversation. Check out my page at italianlanguagehub.com, or talk to your pet. I know they don't reply, but at least you're practicing using Italian. Okay, be sure to download the free PDF, and I'll see you next week. Un bacio, ciao.